Welcome to Charting Cryptos and Commodities. Man, has it been interesting here lately when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Of course, Bitcoin just smashing down. We were hoping to, and I'm showing you the 24-hour day Bitcoin chart, somewhere around that $18,200 mark, something like that. I mean, it just leveled off and hammered down over the course of this last week. This week not doing much, if any, better. The low all the way down to 15,632. This week, 15,734. So again, that $15,500 mark right around there. Boom. I mean, that is one hell of a hit. Hoping that we were going to set a floor around that $18,000 mark or so. Just would not hold it. And of course, as FTX, another crypto exchange, imploded, who knows what the ripples are going to be? The people who follow the markets, and we watch what Jerome Powell and the Fed's doing. When you start upping interest rates, all the play money starts going away. If you come off 0% interest, then all of a sudden, it's, as Warren Buffett says, you know who's swimming naked when the tide goes out. Well, that may very well be what is happening. And this may just be the beginning. We've told you for how long? Months and months and months that there was nothing going on with cryptocurrencies. Don't be in it. We've also told you of the value of something like VanEck ETF. And again, this is not market advice. This is for our practice trades. But again, when you start using real money, I think you're probably going, just like in tennis, you're going to play the way you practice. So practice well, practice hard, practice smart. Perfect practice makes perfect. Now, when we look at something like the VanEck ETF, it's the lowest expense of the three ETFs approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and it's available at any of your online brokers. You can practice trade it anywhere. You don't have to go to a crypto exchange. It is a closed month, short-term Bitcoin future ETF. What's so beautiful about it is that it's not on a crypto exchange. It's a legitimate product that you can practice trade on the market, that you can find at any of your favorite online brokers, particularly those who have the ability to do practice trades, fairly accurate software that they'll allow you to do that with, or you can just log in, paper trade it, do whatever. I like this so much better. Been telling you the benefits of it as opposed to going to one of these crypto exchanges to do your practice trading. So nothing here to see at this time except the crash and burn that's still going on that we've warned you about and talked to you about. Let's look at what's up with Ethereum. Well, of course, it rocketing down too, as I've said over and over and over again. If Bitcoin gets a sniffle, all these other cryptocurrencies get the flu or worse, pneumonia. Now, when we look at Ethereum, we can see on the weekly chart where it really hammered down over the course of this last week. Not as bad so far this week. We go to things like this is the Bitwise 10 crypto index fund. What does the 10 mean? Top 10 cryptocurrencies. It's weighted as to market share. And of course, Bitcoin being the biggest thing there, we can see things driving down, but it's driving down across the entire crypto market, sucking wind quite hard, going down to a new recent low. So again, when I say recent low, we're going back months and months and months and months and months. It is not looking good at all. If we skip around the other cryptocurrencies, we look at things like Polkadot. We look at things like the Matic Network. We look at things like Doge. We look at things like Cardano. We look at just sort of across the board. We can also get into the crypto space where you have things like the global blockchain and Bitcoin strategy. So it's invested in those type of companies. Again, those things heading down. We go to another and look at something like the First Trust Skybridge crypto. Again, you can see the whole crypto market sucking wind. I mean, very difficult. We look at where things are with Solana. I mean, you can see it again hammering down this week. So what are we waiting for? Well, we're waiting for the big boy, waiting for the big boy to recover. How long will that take? No idea. We've warned you for weeks and, well, months now that there were problems in this space, that we were not doing anything except monitoring for you on a daily basis, that there were no trades, and of course we have been right. We'll continue to watch, and when things do finally bottom out and start to move up, we'll be standing by, ready to jump into our practice trades and hopefully watch Bitcoin take off. Let's move, and the other cryptos. Let's move out of the crypto side of things, and let's look at the real world. Let's look at commodities. What's going on? The biggest downer for the day, we'll be looking at the weekly charts and all these, but I have them set up based upon the strongest down movement for the day. That is coffee. Now we hear, oh, all these commodities, there's going to be so much inflation, this, that, and the other. Well, look at coffee prices. Maybe that's based on demand and problems across the world. I don't know, with inflation, things like fuel, things like people not having money or jobs. Well, we can see coffee prices peaked all the way back in August, toward the end of August, slid sideways and down, and then just started dropping. This week, of course, hitting an even newer recent low from many months back. Coffee, a hammering down. And I'm glad, because I drink a lot of coffee throughout the day. What about oil? Well, oil, of course, peaked back in early June, was down for several weeks, sideways, down, up for a few weeks, and now this week we're seeing it pull back. Again, not near its highs, but again, nice to see. What's that based on? Can't tell you, but we're in the red on the STC. And again, oil, black gold, pulling back on us. Let's look at soybeans. Where are they? Well, that again is a feedstock. It's also human food. What do we see going on with that? Of course, it peaked back in early June, then down for several weeks, ticking up for a while, then down for a little bit sideways. Last few weeks, 2 weeks ago, started moving up markedly. This week, peeling some of that off. What about copper? Used in a lot of business processes, really got hammered down, hit its most recent low back in mid-July, and then has stayed below for the last many weeks, stayed below the 200 EMA, pushed above it last week, is about there where it was last week. This week, down for the day 1.52%. Of course, copper is going to show us what's going on in the overall industrials and business sector. But again, things happening in the world market, we're a good ways away from those prior highs. Now, what about wheat? Down for the day 1%. Talking about wheat and spikes and all that other stuff, well, wheat's well off where it spiked back in mid-May of this year and heading down over the last several weeks. Like I said, down for the day over 1%. So far as being no wheat available, all of it being bought out, you can see wheat prices again are not as low as they were back in January of this year, but again, not nearly as high as they were at their peak. In fact, it may have even peaked higher back in March. See a high of 1256, 1275, and then back in May, 1242. So it's close in May and February. So we'll keep an eye on things. But again, food, when it comes to soybeans, when it comes to wheat, comes to coffee, we're not seeing that stuff getting crazy. Now we look at silver. It's been up for the last 3 weeks, like we've seen with gold, trying to push that 200 EMA. We'll see if it's going to keep going. STC's reached the top on that, so we'll see. I'm ready to get into silver. I'd love to see it clear this and slam up. I'll, of course, be looking to buy it. Hope you'll do some practice trading of it if it offers opportunities. Now, let's move on to sugarcane. This is an interesting one. Sugarcane, of course, peaked again back in April, down, then popped up again, and then down for many weeks. Over the last 2 weeks, sugarcane really popping up, not hitting the high that we saw before, but it is heading up strongly. It's down for the day about 0.5%. So that's interesting. Keep an eye on that, most definitely. And as we said, if you're interested in any of these commodities, what do? Well, you go backtrack them. You look and see how accurate your success multiplier formula is in helping you make the right decisions when you see things move above or below the 200 EMA. Now, on these commodities, I don't short these things. You can sure look at the commodities that have liquid options, and you can sure try to practice trade those, or you can just look for the ones that are going long and buy them. So it just depends on how you wish to practice trade those things. We look at where things are with oil. Well, oil had been going up for about 6 weeks. This week, dropping off. Again, nowhere near those prior highs that we saw several months ago. What about corn? Well, again, big feedstock, a lot of human consumption. Corn down strongly over the last 2 weeks. Hit its high, back in that April-May time frame. Down real hard up until it most recently bottomed out in late July. Up since then and for a while, and then sideways, and now heading down. Of course, gold, we talk about that every day for you. Here's probably the most interesting one of all, natural gas. You hear about us running out of natural gas, people not being able to heat their homes, prices out of sight. Well, they have been much, much higher than they are now on the world market, all the way up to a high of $34.50 on this fund, now down to about $19, $20. So well off those prior highs, below the 200 EMA, red on the STC. So isn't that interesting? Regardless of what you hear on the news, you can see the real prices here. Isn't it fascinating to look at once a week and to get a feel, not for what they tell you in the news, but for what's really going on? It's a lot different than what you hear, isn't it, my friends? Pay attention to price. It's the truth. All the rest of it is the garbage they put between the commercials to keep you tuned in. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.